What is going on YouTube? Back with another WoW video, and this one is all about how to get better at PvP, how to wreck battlegrounds, how to go up rating an arena, all that good stuff, and we're going to break it down into topics of add-ons you need. You don't have to play with add-ons like in the pro scene and stuff, they're not allowed to actually use them in the pro tournaments, but they really do help you, just if you're a general player, about what you can watch on YouTube and the internet and things like that to get better. What you can do with your bindings, and the strategy of like what you should be queuing, whether you should be doing skirms or battlegrounds, how you should be gearing, things like that, and finally how to go about finding a partner. So first off, I just want to talk about why I'm making this video. I feel like WoW is one of the hardest games to get better at, like overall. You have so many bindings and all that stuff, and I'm talking about PvE here too. It can be a pretty hard game to get into, but in the PvP scene, if you're trying to push arena rating, this game is so nasty too. It's really hard to get into. You're queuing up against random people, especially if you're doing like skirms, and you come up against like 2k or plus rated warriors that absolutely just destroy everyone, full gear. You've got no gear, one shots, just making you want to rage quit. So it can be a pretty stressful thing to get into. Even now, like trying to come in 2 seasons behind in gear on some of my characters is just a headache. But we're going to break down exactly how I think you should go about jumping into PvP. So like I said, we're going to start off with add-ons. I'll try and remember, I always say this, just remind me in the comments if I've forgotten, but I'll try and remember to put like annotations at the top, so if you only want to find out about certain sections of this video, you can just click on them and it should skip to that part. But first of all, we're going to talk about add-ons. So there's 3 that I think are pretty much in my I'd hate to live without them. They're not really a necessity, but I just love them so much. The first one is Gladius, like the king of PvP arena add-ons here. Now Gladius, if you're not sure what it is, I'll give you a little bit of description of each of these add-ons. Gladius is, I guess you call it a little health bar. It shows you who you're versing in a little movable window and their class and things like that. But what it really does, or the bit where it shines, is it will tell you how long until they will be off diminishing returns on CC. So that means if you land a stun on a character, it will track the 15 seconds countdown until you can land a full stun again. If you were to land a second stun within that 15-second window, it only has half the time. Again, if you get a third one, half the time. So what you really want to do, if you want to land CC chains, is wait for that DR to come off and then land CC. So this is perfect. It tells you in a real easy to see manner exactly when they're going to be off DR, as well as if they're popping burst and things like that. So it just helps you so much. You don't have to really know the class inside and out. It will just tell you, they're bursting, watch out, or don't CC yet. That's pretty much how the goal is. I'll try and put some, video of exactly what I'm talking about, so to go along with this writing. So that's Gladius. Easily just go and download it off Curse, WoW add-ons, just Google that, or the website will come up, and you need a client and download that. The second one is, this one's not so much based on helping you in PvP, but just overall, Bartender is one of the best add-ons in this game. So what it does is it lets you rearrange all your abilities into whatever whether you want them in a big like grid below your character. You can move them just anywhere, and it actually does help if you've got them arranged in a fashion you like, rather than like looking down the bottom of your screen trying to find or look at cooldowns and things like that. So moving around really helps, as well as it's so easy just to set up bindings and just right click, set it as whatever you want on your keyboard and just save it and things like that. And that's going to go along with the next one of the future categories coming up about what you should be doing with your bindings. So that's all I'm going to mention about Bartender. It just really does help with just making the game so much easier to use with your bindings and things like that, because you do in fact want every ability bounded. We'll talk about that in a second. The last add-on that I recommend you have is Omnibar. Now this one is a really big help in PvP. Unlike Bartender, you don't really need it. It just helps a little bit. Omnibar really does do the trick. What it does is you can set it to track certain enemy abilities, if that makes sense. So say you're versing a monk and they have that cocoon bubble thing. They get every 40 seconds, or I think it was, and it reduces a lot of the damage. So what you can do is, I used to use it on my DK. I'd have Omnibar set up to track all these abilities, and the example we're using is that cocoon, okay? So when they're getting low, I'll try and steal the ability with Dark Simulacrum. If I didn't steal it, and he's used it, at least now it's counting down wherever you want it on the screen to place this little bar. I have mine at the bottom of my character, but it's counting down the cooldown until that monk has the cocoon back up. So the 40 seconds is coming around, say it's got like 3 seconds left. You know in 3 seconds he's going to have that ability back up, and if it's something that you can, stun or try and steal and things like that, it's just so much easier to outplay your opponents. Kind of like Gladius, but this one is just purely on tracking individual talents. You can set up anyone you want pretty much of other classes. You can track when a DK is going to have grip back up, when he's going to have a stun back up, when a paladin's hodge is going to be back up. Everything, every ability, everything that you don't want to get hit with or used against you, you can track of when it's up and when it's available for them to use, and hopefully use that information to just absolutely outschool them. You see when a Locke's Shadow Fury is up, it's back up, so I'm going to jump out the way because I know he's run at me to land it. Things like that, or Hunter's Trap. So hopefully you understand what I'm talking about there. That one, super good add-on, and that'll wrap up the add-ons that I think you should need purely for getting better at PvP. Now the next category I want to talk about, actually, I think people really underestimate, and this is something I do for every single game I want to get better at. Right now I'm trying to get better at Counter-Strike. Just got DMG, I think 3 or 4 months after first installing the game ever. And what I do is I watch streamers, I follow streamers, and when they start streaming, I'll watch them and pay attention to what they do. Just watching them, you actually really do learn a lot. Now, even more so with WoW, you can watch, one, how they're going about playing, and kind of the strategies they're using with 3v3 competitions in Arena, as well as watch exactly what they're doing with each class. So some guys like Snuts play Warlock mainly. So if you're a Warlock, I would highly recommend subscribing to Snuts. I don't know if he has a YouTube. I know he streams and things like that. Another one is if you play Fire Mage, you've got Hansel streaming consistently. Also does videos going over what his mindset is like in arenas, what he's trying to do. You've got Bajira that plays Warrior and DK, and also really like Mitch Jones for Frost Mage and Arcane, things like that. But the moral of the story is, watch the people you want to be as good as, if that makes sense. You can type in YouTube, Positioning Guide, WoW Arena. You can type in PvP Frost DK Guide on YouTube, and it'll go over people. There's so many videos out there. People will be going over exactly what gear you need, the rotation, all that stuff. Just absolutely going in depth with everything you need to know if you don't know. So I highly recommend watching people on YouTube for specific things, as well as just watching streamers, just to see what they're doing. It's easy to make a video, put it out, and then just, say do that. But if you watch a stream, they're doing it live, you really take it in, and you can notice certain things that they might have, skipped over by accident in YouTube videos. So that's all I have to say about that category, is just watch streams and YouTube channels. Finally, we're only on to the third one. There's 5 topics. This one is to go along with what I was talking about with Bartender. So a lot of PvEers come into Arena and don't have the right bindings. Now what I mean by this is, they might have certain abilities bound and things like that, but they won't have everything. So Warriors come in and they don't have Reflect Magic ability, whatever it's called, bound and things like that, because they don't use it in PvE. You want every single ability that is useful in PvE. So the summon like Warlock or whatever, you're not gonna bind. You're not gonna bind Soulstone and things like that, because you can't use it in Arena. But every ability you can use, you want it bound, and in a fashion, it's going to take some practice to, make yourself fluent with hitting every button and remembering what to hit without hesitating. But you want everything bound that you can get to it quickly, especially if it's an ability you really need to hit quickly. You want it to be an easier binding. So what I have is things like this. I have targeting. I move with S to strafe left, D to strafe right, and that's it. I have no movement forward. I move forward my mouse, and I especially have no movement backwards. In PvP, there is no reason for you to have a back pedal, they call it. You should, if you can, it takes a while to get used to, just unbind, walk backwards, and there you go. You've got a new button, really easy to get to if you leave it as S. That can be an ability. But furthermore, what I have is I have targeting as E and R. So target arena 1, target arena 2. Also have a macro set up that sets them as focus, so I can manage 2 people at once. Then I have things like fear on my warlock. Okay, fear's a good one. I have fear just the target. I have selected as 7 on my Naga. Naga is very, very helpful. If you don't have a Razer Naga or some MMO mouse, of course they have a really good one out right now that have like 12 buttons on your hand. That's like 12 buttons you're missing out on. Pair it with, making macros where you can press shift on your keyboard. There's 24 buttons you're missing out on that someone else has over you. So Nagas and MMO mouses are really, really helpful. But getting back to what I was saying, fear is number 7 on my Naga. And if I hold shift and press fear, super easy to hit, it fears the focus target I have. Same with like strangulate and all things like that. I always have, one ability to do it to the people I'm looking at. I have targeted, and a shift like modifier, I guess you'll call it, to hit another target or things like that. So that's super, super handy. Just again, find every ability that you think is useful in PvP and make it something that you don't hesitate to get to. You don't want to have it as control 6. There's no way you're going to spread your hand that far apart to hit it fluently and things like that. But again, you can type YouTube videos in of like WoW binding guide, things like that, and people will go over exactly what they have set up and how they go about hitting the button. So that's going to cover the third topic. On to now more about how to go about getting better at PvP, like what you should be queuing, okay? So what I think you should do, coming to a new season, especially if you're new at PvP, the arena scene, including skirms, can be really, really nasty, as I said. So I would highly recommend queuing Battlegrounds, first of all. One, because you get, a range of conquest and honor, and if you win, you get these gold crates that give you a chance of getting, you get a guaranteed piece of gear, actually, if you win. So, one, you're learning how to just play your character fluently, and you don't have as much pressure on you. You don't have 2 people trying to kill just you and things like that. I mean, you'll run into that in Battlegrounds, but it's more spread out. There's more people, more teammates to help you, and things like that, as well as they're pretty fun. So start off with BGs. Try and get close to what the season's item level is, and you want it to be PvP gear. You don't want to jump in with 700 eye level raid gear, because in arena, in Battlegrounds 2, I think, any PvP, everyone with PvP gear gets kicked up in item level. So they might have 690, but in the Battleground, they're going to have 730 eye level. So they've already got 30 eye level on you. So you want to make sure it's PvP gear. From then, you want to jump into skirms. Now, this is going to get you... You already know a bit about PvP, how to play your class and things like that. Skirms is going to teach you how to play arena specifically. What to expect. You're going to get used to different things. Using pillars to your advantage and things like that. It's not just like smashing people in the middle of the battleground map, which always seems to happen. This is more learning about how to arena, set up CC and things like that. And you just queue randomly, unless you got a friend that always helps, and just practice at that, as well as getting some more gear, some more conquest, slowly gearing up while you're doing that. Now, hopefully, this is moving on to the last kind of segment I have to talk about. Hopefully in skirms, if you're getting good enough, and you're playing with some guy, you're having some fun, feel free to ask if you want to add them, or he might, ask to add you. There's some good people I've met. I've never talked to them through Skype or anything, but I'll meet them in skirms. We have fun together. I'm like, yo, I'll add you, whatever. And then when I log in later through the week or whatever, he's online. He asks me if we want to do skirms. We're straight back into it, playing more arena. Things like that. And I've got a range of people now added on my friends list that I can play at any given time. If they're online, I'll just ask them if they want to queue up. And from here, one, you make friends, which is pretty cool. But two, when you're geared enough and you feel ready, not to say you can't jump into PvP, like arena ranked straight away and see what it's like, but you can actually, have a partner set up and properly try some rated arena. And there you go. Looking back, last month you started off not knowing how to hit abilities. You didn't know what your class does in PvP. You had backpedal, all that stuff. To now, a month later, full geared, couple of friends online that any given time you can play ranked arena with, and all you're worried about now is pushing arena rating and having fun trying to get the gladiator title. So hopefully that makes sense, and you take some of this information I've given you into account. And yeah, 15 minutes of rambling on, but like I said, hopefully something in this video helped you out. And this is actually how I went about getting better at WoW PvP. I still have a lot to go, and I'm still using some of these things that I've talked about right now. So I have all my buttons bound, and I'm still queuing skirms every now and then, maybe adding some people, and there you go. Ranked Arena is coming back. The new season just started. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, especially if the video helped you out at all. It would mean a lot to me, and I will see you guys next time.